that's really relevant to all of us that work here, and that's canine aggression. That's going to be helper. Any ideas where aggression comes from? Anybody?
Lions.
Eating, yeah, so predation. What else?
Fear.
Fear, defense. I guess we can go to the next one. So predation, defense, and resource competition. We've all seen a dog growl over a bowl of food. But aggression's expensive. Aggression can result in death. It can definitely result in injury. And for a wild animal, energy expenditure is really important. You know, they only have a limited amount of calories per day. Where are they going to use it? It takes time, and it also makes them more conspicuous to predators. So most animals don't use aggression unless they have to. But why use it?
Last resort.
A last resort, right? There's also something else, if you switch to the next slide, puppies. If I'm a carnivore and I'm working with other carnivores to take down a deer, that took a whole lot of energy. And maybe there aren't a whole lot of deer around. So now we have 1 deer and 5 dogs. If I can be really aggressive and guard my share, I might grow up to be the biggest, strongest, baddest dog, and then I get lots of other dog mates, and then we have lots of puppies. So we pass on our genes, and we pass on aggression. If I don't defend it, and I'm scrawny and weak, chances are I'm not having too many puppies. So, you know, my genes might not get passed on as strongly. What we see a lot in dogs, because they don't want to injure each other, they don't want to kill each other, it is expensive. So the solution for that would be ritualized aggression and play fighting, which we see all the time here. It can look really scary. Most dog fights are ritualized aggression. We've all seen ones that aren't, but most of the time it's just bites to the head and the neck and the back. And the dogs aren't really injured, assuming that both dogs have pretty good bite inhibition. They use it to determine rank and social status and to settle resource disputes without killing or hurting each other. So they can play in the yard and play big, scary, violent wrestling games so that later on, when Buddy has a bone and Max walks up, Max says, I'm not touching that because I remember out there in the yard, I was going to get my butt kicked, so I'm not going to bother right now.
Was that Jake and Betty in that picture?
It did kind of look like
With Jerry standing behind them?
What are some common triggers of aggression? Fear, yeah. But specifically, like, for example, someone in uniform a lot of times, like an electrician walks in, and that can be a common trigger.
or even a man.
A man, definitely. Demographics play a huge part in it. Children can trigger it. We can go to the next slide, Wilson. So demographics, uniforms, odd pictures, eye contact, touching, movement like skateboards and bicycles, different sounds sometimes, although sounds play more of a role in fear. The presence of resources like food or bones. And then, of course, the dog's breed, size, and play style. This is a picture of a dog who every dog trainer will tell you we kind of cringe when we look at this picture because, yeah.
What does demographics mean?
Ethnicity, age, and gender.
Is that based on past experience? Or?
Most of the time it has to do with socialization as a puppy. But we cringe when we look at that picture because that shouldn't ever be happening, ever, ever. Even the nicest dog is going to come to the end of his rope at some point. Makes a cute picture, but one day. Let's go to the next slide. The number of triggers occurring at one time and the number of triggers that are present is really important. So say this is Sally, and Sally's normally really good with kids. But that morning, Sally had a vet appointment. And then on the way to the park, Sally was passed by a bicycle, which she's scared of, and a skateboard, which she tries to attack. And then when she's at the park, This little girl's family's there, and they're all in a circle around Sally, and they're all staring at her with that direct eye contact. Now, Sally might normally be really good with other dogs, but in this particular situation, she's not, because she had a bad day, because a lot of stuff happened to her that day. She's really stressed out. So be mindful that a dog who's friendly most of the time, you know, we all have bad days. They have bad days too. Recognizing the warning signs of canine aggression. Growl. Excellent. Snarl. Excellent. Snap. This one's important. It's an intentional miss. Their reflexes are 5 times faster than ours. I can't tell you how many times I hear, well, he was going to bite me, but I got away fast enough. You didn't get away fast enough. The dog is just warning you. It's a very strong warning, don't get me wrong. If a dog snaps at you, you better find a way to get out of that situation calmly, as we talk about. Bite, contact, okay, so that's the difference between a snap and a bite, is there contact or not. The public recognizes growl, snarl, snap, bite. Sometimes they recognize low barking, or a lunge at somebody on a leash. Sometimes they recognize that. But we're different. We're not the public. Would you enter? Go back. Would you enter that den?
Mm-hmm.
I would wait. Look at this dog. Look at the direct eye contact. Look at how stiff he's holding his body. Look at those wrinkles between his forehead. And it doesn't mean that 5 seconds later he could look different than this. But right now, this particular dog, I would not enter the den. Let's go to the next one. What about this? No. Who said that? All right, you get that first piece of chocolate that I've been hoarding for the day. Why wouldn't you go in that den?
Look how I live here.
Look how he's looking. All right. So this dog has got his head lowered, right? His head's like this, a little unnatural. You can see the whites in his eyes. For most dogs, that we call that whale eye. For most dogs, that's a sign of stress. And he's just kind of waiting. The other thing about this picture is his mouth is closed. If I can see their tongue, they're not going to bite their own tongue off. So I know I'm okay for at least a couple seconds. But if I can't see their tongue, why is their mouth closed? So let's go to the next one. Thank you. What about this one? So this is a trick question. We can see the whites of the eyes, but I would go in this den. His ears are relaxed, his head's down on his paw, his one paw's just kind of drooping down. He's just kind of hanging out, even though we can see the whites of the eyes. So all of these signs you have to take into consideration. What's the rest of the body doing? Let's go to the next one. Yeah, this one.
Yes. I would.
What else? Okay, well, somebody raise your hand and say something. Anybody?
I would.
Yeah. What?
I mean, the ears are up, but they're kind of relaxed. They're not.
What else is going on? What's the mouth doing?
This close.
It's closed. What's wrong with the eyes? Yeah. I'm guessing those pupils are a little dilated. He's being pretty intense. I probably wouldn't go in this den. I'd wait.
He's got enough of a tilt going there. I'd go in. I'd
They're
wait.
so,
Of course.
so direct. If I look at you like this, Susie. Right? It's a little weird. What if you're sitting on the metro and somebody looks at you like this? You gonna talk to that person? You're not gonna talk to that person.
Wait a minute, when doesn't that happen?
You're not gonna talk to that person, so don't talk to that dog, okay? That dog is saying the same thing as the person. Ignore the fur, ignore the cuteness, ignore the fact that your grandma has a miniature schnauzer and you love them, okay? This dog's facial expression is what I just did. It's weird, okay? Let's go to the next slide. What about this guy? Yeah. Yeah. This guy looks really tough. He's got on his studded harness. He's a breed that some people are afraid of. He's very muscular, but yes, everything about this dog's body language is good. He has a naturally kind of wider stance, but the mouth is open. He seems pretty relaxed. The eyes are soft. Go to the next slide. Oh, this one. No. I saw Erica's head shake. Pass this back. Yeah, no. This is really similar to that dog that we saw in the earlier picture with the whale eye. Whale eye, head lowered, body, you know, I can't tell in the picture, but I'm guessing it's mouth fairly closed. How about this one? Yeah, we said yeah first, Jerry. Just pass that back to Jerry. Yeah. And again, a breed people are scared of. The mouth's closed, which I told you is not a good sign, but what else are we seeing? Head's tilted to the side, ears are relaxed, eyes are soft. He's curious. So the next one.
That's what I gave the other one the benefit.
No,
I thought he was curious.
No.
I wasn't guessing any teeth
Or, good point, or maybe his lips are so far forward. Maybe he's like this. You can't see my teeth, but it's not good. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Don't do it.
That's it, Jerry.
All right. Yes, right. Aside from breed stereotypes, that tongue lolling out of the mouth, the ears up, he's happy, he's blurred. That's what that about this one? No. Tina. Tina. Right, so he's hunting something. He might be hunting a child, he might be hunting another dog, he might be hunting you. Whatever he's hunting, we don't want to get involved. Okay, the next one. What about this one?
No, I don't trust you.
All right. I'm going to give this piece to Leroy, if you'll pass that back to Leroy, because Leroy said, I don't trust chavs. Why don't we trust chavs? Because everything that we would naturally read to determine whether or not a dog is safe, we cannot see in a chow chow. The tail is not natural, it's curled. Can we see whether the body's stiff or not? No, too much fur. Can we see the eyes? No, they're covered by wrinkles and folds of skin, and the ears are nestled into the head. Chows are notoriously hard to read. They're probably the hardest breed of dog to read. If you don't know, don't do it. You know, it's better safe than sorry. Go to the next one. This one. No. Right? Yeah. Head lower. Mouth forward. Backs up. Yeah, the hair's sticking up. Who said that? I think it's okay. I got
You are
okay.
good in your 1
You're
month
good.
here.
Okay. Hands up. Tails up and kind of curled. A breed that naturally has a flat tail, if it's up and curled, it's probably something going on. Go to the next one. What about this one? Yeah. I agree with Jerry. So you've got to think about the breed too, right? This breed naturally has a curled tail, so not much we can do with that. The ears are naturally stick up, not much we can do with that. The head's tilted though, and the eyes are soft. So that's good. Look familiar? So this is my dog. Would you go in that den? No. You're right. No. Did you get a piece of candy yet? No. Why not? What do you think she's doing in this picture?
Waiting for you to come in there.
Waiting for me to come in there. Why?
So she can chew on your shoes quick.
But why?
Because you're her resource.
I'm not the resource in this picture. The toy is the resource in this picture. This is a classic picture of a dog resource garden. So I've got this, and I put my head over it, and I'm just like this. That's what she's doing this in the picture. So that don't get me wrong, her eyes are glazed over and she's staring off in the distance. But if you were to approach, even from a side she wasn't looking, you would probably get bit or growled at or something. This is a dog resource garden. So if you see this, you don't enter. And you can see the toy there, that's what she's guarding, that little squeaky thing. All right, let's go to the next one. So as professionals, we have to recognize tensing of muscle groups, change in posture, breathing, avoidance, body blocking, pupil dilation. We saw in a lot of those. When you see the light reflect in an animal's eyes, because their pupils have just gotten so big. Lip licking, vocalizing, face tension. Freeze is my big one. If you see an animal freeze, that animal's probably about to bite you. Whale eye, inhibited mouthing, that's the sign. Rapid orientation or muzzle punch. We see that a lot in the adolescents. They jump up and they sort of hit you. That's their way of saying, wait till I get a little more confident.
What's rapid orientation?
Rapid orientation's like, I'm just standing here and you walk up and they go. We see that a lot with the fearful ones. Yeah.
Hypervigilance.
Blowing out the mouth.
Rabies.
Maybe the Dr. Rosen. So let's go to the next one. So there's the head turn in the next one. There's the dilated pupil, see the reflection. Let's go to the next one. Lip lip. Face tension, that's flaxy. We've all seen that, right? Those ridges on her face are not normal. And these are signs of potential aggression. These are signs of stress. This right now is not aggression, but it could be. And we know as soon as she gets out of that den, she explodes at other dogs, right? Because she's in such a high level of stress. Let's go to the next one. And types of aggression. Let's go to the next one. Resource guarding, handling, dog-dog aggression, and human aggression are the most common ones we're going to see here. Let's go to the next one. Resource guarding. Displays of aggression, the presence of resources such as food, toys, or locations. We have all of these in almost every single den out there, every single day. So when you see these signs on a den, food care signs, and an animal's chewing a bone or eating out of a bowl, you don't go in there. Or you distract the dog if you have to go in there. You open the door, you make a kissing noise, and you get them away from it before you go in. Let's go to the next one. That's what we just talked about. Never take things away from a dog, any dog, even a dog that doesn't resource guard, you don't want to take things away. Go to the next one. Handling. The medical center is probably familiar with this. Handling suspects are breeds that require extensive grooming. We see this kind of thing a lot here. Chronic medical conditions, chronic ear infections, chronic anal gland infections are going to cause some handling issues. And dogs who guard resources are also, it usually goes right hand in hand with handling aggression. Go to the next one. You can watch your body language when you're handling. Instead of reaching in to grab dogs, we kind of approach sideways. We all know that, right? You don't want to lean over a dog. You can get a trainer if you want to. I don't know where Kara is. Kara is really good. Sometimes she gets me to help with little things in the clinic that it makes a difference because we can do training while you guys are doing whatever you're doing, shots or whatever. But that's at any time. You can come get one of us if you want. No grabbing. Slow down if you see signs of stress if you can. And muzzles. Muzzles are not bad. If we know of a dog that's, Dr. Schulte has been good about sending me reports. If we know of a dog that's not good in the vet, we'll start working with them on a muzzle. So that when they go home, they have it in their pet point printout, so adoptions can tell them they've been started on muzzle desensitization. So they wear muzzle at the vet. It's not a big deal. Go to the next one. Dog aggression. Next one. There's two types: barrier aggression on the leash or in the kennels, and off leash. Most dogs, a lot of dogs, it's totally different. Flaxy has play dates all the time, even though she looks like a psychopath on a leash. So it's different. Dogs who are aggressive when they're off leash usually are really lacking in social skills. Most of them are okay off leash. Let's go to the next one. Human aggression. You see this sign. You don't want to stare at that dog. You don't want to go in the kennel unless you know the dog's bite history. If you don't know about a dog, get a manager. Get Tina, get Eugene, get me, get somebody else who can help you. Or just get somebody else who works here and say, hey, look at this dog. I don't know if I should go in there. Look for the resources. Allow the dog to approach you first and be aware of the dog's body language. So these are all the same things as the other slides. Let's go to the next one. And prevention is the best medicine. We can socialize adults. It takes a really long time. Puppy kindergarten, best case scenario. Up until 12 weeks, they're not really aggressive usually. We have the chance to introduce them into all kinds of things. Other dogs, people, which is why we have puppy kindergarten that's mandatory for our adopters, and we give them a huge discount so that hopefully the dogs stay in the homes, or if they come back to us, they're not aggressive. And we can rehome them. And we do handling, we restrain them in puppy kindergarten, we do new surfaces, all kinds of things. So in summary, aggression's natural. You should be recognizing those early signs that professionals only recognize. The public's not going to know, but you'll know, and just manage the situation. That's it. Any questions? Thank you. Yeah.
People talk about territorial aggression.
Yeah.
But that wasn't on your slides. Is that
I
a myth?
didn't include it because I was mostly including things that we would see here.
But it does exist?
It does exist, definitely, in your own home, particularly with certain breeds of dogs.
Is that
Doesn't it
a
refer to it as location? I mean, it's
Sure.
location
Yeah.
pretty much.
It could be location, but a lot of times it's very specific to their property and people encroaching on that property. So yeah.
And I live in a neighborhood with a lot of dogs that live behind fences, don't get walked, and they seem to be worse. Is there a reason for that? Or?
So that's the barrier aggression that we were talking about. They're frustrated all day long. They see all this stuff go by them and they can't get to it. And they're probably under exercise. They probably don't have mental stimulation. So it's frustrating for them because they're like, I know if I could just chase that squirrel, I could be more relaxed, happy, I could have a job to do. And so they're just frustrated all day. The other thing is when you sit behind a fence all day and Jamie walks by my fence and I go, rrr, 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 and Jamie keeps walking. I'm like, got it. I just made Jamie go away. That was cool. And then Lisa comes by my fence and I go, rrr, 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 and Lisa keeps walking down the street and I'm like, I am the gate defender. And then I just become more and more confident, and so it just keeps, without training, that problem just continues to get worse and worse.
And what would you do? I'm sorry, you're not going to.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, I kind of have a question about what you're suggesting. I know from my staff's point of view, when you say don't go in this kennel, or go get somebody, we walk around this, I don't, but my techs walk around and give meds to, a good third of the animals in this kennel every single day. They don't really have the option to walk away, and I don't think that really the shelter staff does either. I mean, they have to clean, they have to get them out.
It's not necessarily that you would walk away, but a lot of times if I've got a resource guarder and he's chewing a bone and he's in that stance, a lot of times you can just open up the top door and call them to you, and then it's safe to go in. It's just recognizing when they're in those postures, when it's
To
really
be cautious.
to be cautious and to try to get them to do something else first. But certainly that picture of the white pity thing that was barking, if you see that kind of thing, maybe it would be worth waiting a few minutes. But a lot of them, like just a whale eye or something, you can proceed with caution, and your staff is going to have, other things that they have to do that are going to put the dogs in stressful situations. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's just being able to recognize those signs though. Yeah.
I think we say that aggression is one of the reasons that we would euthanize an animal. What is the threshold? I mean, what sort of level of aggressive makes them unadoptable? How do we determine that?
Well, we use SAFER to assess aggression in the animals,
And what is that? I mean, I hear that, but I don't know what that
we use SAFER, and it's a series of 7 tests, and we test handling, impulse control or play arousal, resource guarding, and dog-dog aggression. So you're really hitting pretty much everything. And the way that SAFER is designed is we're not trying to get the dog to bite us, but we know enough about dog body language that we know if a dog does something, like if a dog jumps up and muzzle punches you on the arm, it's pretty aggressive. It's the dog saying he has a high potential to bite in that circumstance because he's warning you. He's saying this might happen. So we look for things like that, and we score it, and then we look at all the scores at the end. So one is the easiest to handle, 5 is a bite usually. So if we score a dog and they're all 1s and 2s, usually as behavior and training department, we don't even really have to worry about that dog too much because they just go out the door that week. But if we score a dog and they're all 3s and 4s, if 5's a bite and they scored all 3s and 4s, that's a dog that we would talk about. And it doesn't happen as often as it would seem like. Most dogs are not very aggressive, but it does happen. Yeah.
At the medical center, we deal with a lot of client dogs or whatever, and they come in sick, and they're like out of
see that all the time with dogs that come into the clinic, and somebody says, "Can we keep this dog?" And I'm like, "I don't know anything about that dog, but you know, you can talk about it." Because you really don't know until they come out with their personalities. Like, if that dog had walked in here healthy, he probably would have been like that from the get-go. It's not, you know, the dog just wasn't good in a vet situation.
It varies because like some say for example like say Jerry could probably handle a dog and give him meds or whatever, but one day Jerry's not here and I'm here and then I go in there and try to handle the dog and the dog's trying to eat.
Do you remember what we were talking about demographics? So Jerry is very petite, and you've got a nice voice when you talk to the dogs. She talks to all the dogs. She's like, "Hey, you put him up," and they all come running over, and they're like, "Hey, Jerry," and they're excited. I don't know the age difference between you two, but it looks like you're younger, and you're male, and you're big. You're very probably threatening for a lot of dogs because you're like the peak for a dog. For a dog, a healthy, large male dog is going to be the most threatening. So if a dog's scared in this environment, yeah, you would be the person that it would probably be scared of. And just, if you're a big guy and you're working with dogs, just be aware of that. It's something that we talk about with Jamie all the time, and he's actually really good at it, but you just crouch down or you turn to the side, you try to elevate your voice. So if you can go, "Hi, you little puddin' pop," just like Jerry does, maybe he'll like you.
Nobody can do that.
Yeah. And use treats, you know, go in front of the den and throw treats in, and then go away. And go in front of the den and throw treats in, and then go away. And do that multiple times during the day if you have a second. And then, you know, but you're not going to fix, if a dog comes in and he's 7 years old, you're not going to fix 7 years of poor socialization and no training.
Leo, it's your hat when you're all coordinated. Okay, we got to probably wrap this up. Unfortunately, do you all want to do a little more of this?